Hello, welcome back to the Virtual Ninja Show. Today we have another exciting episode. We are going to talk about Security Copilot and a few announcements that have been made at Ignite. My name is Heike, I will be your host, and I have Gabriel with me. Please, Gabriel, introduce yourself.
Hello, Heike. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Gabriel. I am part of the security team, the Security Copilot team here at Microsoft, and I'm a product manager in the team.
And it's so exciting. I mean, Gabriel, the journey and how everybody is really looking forward to when it's available and what else is coming. Of course, right now it's an early access preview. We have lots of great feedback and people want more. And at Ignite, we announced more. But before we go there, please, let's help everyone understand quickly what is Security Copilot and why is it so important to bring such a technology into our products?
The best way and the easiest way to describe Security Copilot would be like an AI coworker that will assist you make sense that from a security standpoint, make sense of all the logs, all the details or the signals that are present in your different portals. For example, the Defender portal or the other portals that we'll be discussing forward, and make easier decisions, make it more efficient for your SOC analysts and for your team, for your SOC team as a whole, in order to actually do your job faster, clearer, with more responses and more information available.
Is it weird to compare it? I mean, I know it's different, but I use Bing chat a lot and it's my best friend. I ask that thing everything. I'm also always very polite. I say hello, I say please, I say thank you. So how is that with Security Copilot? Do you need to be polite? Is it just something but people do?
It doesn't hurt, although you don't really have to, technically speaking. It is similar to Bing Chat from a particular way, from a single way, actually, in that you actually do type in your questions to Security Copilot within the Immersive portal, and it uses your organization's data if initially, and then if it doesn't find that data within your organization, can choose different parts of the web, for example, to give you that data. So prompting is not the exact same as asking a question on Bing. That is a very different scenario. Bing will simply answer, for example, the different from a different webs, what exactly is the most recent data across from a vulnerability, for example. Within Security Copilot, what you can do is actually ask within your organization if that particular vulnerability or that particular threat is already there. So you are able to query your organization. It will learn with your SOC analysts how they work, how they categorize, for example, different alerts, different incidents, and give them suggestions on how to respond to certain incidents as well.
Okay, so you just mentioned something that maybe not everybody knows, but the immersive experience. What is that?
Yes. So there are two sides of Security Copilot that will work seamlessly across our entire ecosystem and with integration with third parties as well. The first one, the one that I call the immersive experience, is basically the website, the page itself, where you can ask different questions, where you can input different things that you want Copilot to assist you with, and it will provide you a response.
So a front end for Security Copilot.
Exactly. Yes, that's very, very, very well put. The second part of Security Copilot is the part that is already integrated into the existing solutions. As a simple example, you would have in the Defender portal, whenever you look at an incident, for example, you will have a pop-up on the right side that is called the embedded scenario. Mm-hmm. The main difference between them is that in the embedded, like in the security portal, you won't be able to ask follow-up questions. So it will give you the data, all the different things that we have implemented there, which we announced at Ignite, but you won't be able to ask further questions. For that one, you would need to go into the immersive experience.
And of course, they work seamless, right? So of course, I saw a little bit already, and I know that if you are in that embedded experience and you have that Copilot experience and let's say the summary, and now you want to ask a question, you can say ask a question, and then you would probably go to the immersive experience with context.
Exactly, with context.
Okay.
So that is very key. Something that we are working towards and always striving towards is to make sure that whenever we have to move from the embedded scenario, for example, to the immersive, to the web page, you would have everything that you've done in the embedded, the incident that you are looking at, what the responses were, what the information about that incident was, and ask follow-up questions on that particular incident in the immersive scenario.
So, and what are, I don't know, 1 product, 2 products, 15 products that we recommend someone to have in order to make sense of Security Copilot? Like, do they need Office 365, or do they need Microsoft Intune, or do they need Microsoft 365 Defender? Like, any recommendations?
Right now, the minimum that I would say would be the Defender for Endpoint P2. That would give you the very initial stages of the information. Of course, with these types of products, the more integrations you have, the better the product works. So if you have only Defender, it will only give you information that it finds from Defender because it doesn't have access to other logs. But if you are using, for example, the full suite of XDR, for example, then it will try to give you as much information as possible from what you ask it for to begin with. But if you want additional context, it can provide it to you from more sources.
As usual, right? So the more signals you have, the more answers or evidences and things it can find and give you back.
Exactly.
What are the new integrations that we talked about at Ignite that we want to summarize?
Initially, we started off with the Defender portal as a baseline and together with Sentinel. Now, what we are doing is providing different experiences through other first-party products. For example, Intune was a main focus at this particular Ignite, and the capabilities that we will have to create compliance policies directly from the immersive scenario, ask it to create a compliance policy based on an investigation, for example. Another big one that was for this Ignite was the data handling and data protection with Microsoft Purview, which was very impressive and very interesting to see. I cannot wait to use it myself and to play around with it myself because it seems awesome.
So, Gabriel, when you say these new experiences, is this the standalone, the immersive experience can receive that data and answer questions based on these signals, or is it also embedded experiences in Microsoft Intune and in Microsoft Purview?
Both. So you will have the experience both in Microsoft Purview, the embed similar to what we have in Defender with recommendations, analysis of what happened. But also we can now leverage the data that Purview and Intune provide to us inside the immersive experience. That gives us far more context outside of only the incident itself. So we can ping and see if the device is compliant, what compliance policies are applied to the device, and if we can create a new compliance policy on top of that particular device or the groups that that device belongs to, for example. So it gives us a lot more flexibility and a lot more. It's very exciting to see.
It is. And it's actually very exciting to see. So I would say, let's jump a little bit into a demo.
Yes, I just wanted to show you a bit about how an incident investigation would look like within your organizations. So you can see here that I have just a few details about the incident. It gives me an IP, a host, and some accounts. Now I'm asking it if it can elaborate a lot more on the entities. As you can see, it definitely can. So now it gives me a lot more details and context around those entities. For example, the IP address, it tells me that it's malicious. It gives me all the details about the host and all the details about the account who is associated with this. At this point, it's MS Scott. This will give you the rich information that you want. And this is what the integrations with both Intune and Entra allow us to actually do. So it gives us far more details, far more references around the device itself, but also around the account that is using this. This will allow us to better investigate, move forward a lot faster than we used to, and not jump through 5 different portals in order to find this information and have it readily available.
Okay, so and because you asked the question pretty general. So can you elaborate more on the entities? If you would be more specific, right, you can be very granular and say, I don't know, can you elaborate more on the user XYZ? And then it would just focus on that specific entity.
Yes, exactly. So right now, I asked a general question to tell me about all the entities within that incident. And that is what it gave me. It gave me the IP address, which we identified as malicious. And it also gave me the machine, the device that was particularly attacked in this incident, as well as the account that was targeted. If I would have asked it, tell me more about the user, for example, in this particular incident, it would have just shown me the user account. But this is very important when we're prompting in Security Copilot. In the beginning, we need to have a broader view so that we can see if the IP is malicious, for example, or maybe the device is not, there's something wrong with the device, or it's using an IP address that is not the one that we approved in our organization, for example, or if the user itself is somebody that's logging in from someplace else, or we have different items here that we need to check. So that's why when we started this, I asked the question a bit more broadly. A bit forward, you will also see that we are actually putting the details in and asking the details for the device itself. So in this next step, for example, I will ask it a different questions, and I notice that the IP address is malicious. I ask it to provide me with the reputation and more details about why the IP address is malicious. This will give us the possibility to check a different skill, not only Sentinel, for example, and we chose Microsoft Defender. We got the IP reputation data, and this is basically what it provided to us. What this IP address was associated with, for example, in this case, it's Cobalt Strike and Silk Typhoon, and what the description is and what the severities of this IP address is.
This is so cool. Can't even compare. Advanced hunting is completely different thing, but still you need to type it, you need to create your advanced hunting rules. They can be very complicated. And even this, like how this is so easy. You just ask a question as you would ask them your coworker, like, oh, why is this malware malicious? What is this thing doing? Like, it's so cool.
Exactly. You reference advanced hunting a bit. I'll have a little surprise for you a bit later on in this demo.
Ooh, okay.
Now that I know the IP address is particularly suspicious, I am asking it, and I wanted to ask it to tell me more a bit about this type of attack, as well as the Silk Typhoon attack. Now, as you can see, it shows Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence,
Yay.
Another skill. So another integration that we want in our organization and that we have in our organization. And you can see that it gives me the details, a summary of the attack. Of course, the entire page, so to speak, the entire article around both Cobalt Strike and Silk Typhoon are a lot longer and a lot more detailed, but it gave me an overview of what those attacks are, and it also provided me with the article itself from where it took this summarization, so to speak. So this will give us and a SOC analyst the possibility to further investigate and to learn more about potential attacks that they were not aware of, that they did not have up until now within their organization, giving them even more flexibility rather than searching through that intelligence part inside the Defender portal. They can just ask it here. It will take you directly to that article. You don't have to search for the correct one.
Wow. And now you want to probably know how this is impacting your organization.
In a way, yes, but I am actually focusing a bit more on the user. So I am asking what devices are associated with the user that is in this particular incident, and I'm asking it to check if they are compliant. As you can see, it shows Intune. So this is where the Intune integration becomes a lot more powerful, because I had the possibility to actually ask it to summarize it in a table. And as you can see, it has also the option there to export to Excel. Now, I am able to see here what the operating system is, what the compliance state is of the device, and what exactly are the next steps in order to actually make these devices compliant.
Wow, it also tells you that there is a Defender for endpoint device risk. So that means there is probably an alert or anything on the device or a vulnerability or anything that makes the risk status of that device.
Exactly. In a way, it jumps into the device itself and sees why it's not compliant for your organization. So if your organization, for example, has a minimum requirement that you must use the latest update of Windows 11, if that device does not have it, it checks it, and then it tells you the steps you need to take in order to actually make that device compliant. So to update Windows in this particular example.
Wow.
This type of integration gives you a lot more flexibility of what you can do rather than jumping through the portals and so on. I am asking it right now to hunt across Defender 365 to see if this user and all their emails are associated with any other alerts. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to identify if the user has been compromised in any way, shape, or form so that I can see if I need to take some actions at the user level or maybe just making the device compliant would be enough.
This is awesome. It's just creating you a KQL query?
Yes, and running it.
Wow.
So this is very important and very fun to see because you can actually run the KQL directly from this portal. It will give you the results and you can see exactly all the emails that have been associated with alerts, what the direction was. So for instance, in this case, all of it is inbound. So they are able to actually have a lot more visibility without jumping through different portals, jumping through different filtering options and so on. This experience and this new integrations within Copilot gives the SOC analyst the efficiency they need in order to be very fast in the responses rather than investigate for 2 hours and then take action.
Before you continue with the demo, let me quickly ask just a couple of questions here around the UI. There is a confirm, off target, report, pin. What are all these little icons all over? Like, help me understand.
Definitely. So you've used Bing Chat in the past. I'm confident that you've also seen ChatGPT. They usually have a thumbs up or thumbs down option, and that's about it. They don't give you the opportunity to explain what went wrong, why the response was not the one that you expected, for example, or something like that. Now, especially now, and even at GA, we are looking for Copilot to improve and to evolve in order for it to learn what you want to see from the responses it gives you and what you don't. So you have the possibility to confirm, for example, if the response was the one that you expected, if the response assisted you and it was good, everything was fine. In terms of the off-target responses, for example, that one is a bit more specific because you do have the option to select, for instance, it was inaccurate or it didn't work or it gave the wrong information, for example. But you also have a small text box where you can type in exactly what happened or what went wrong in that particular prompt. We will be able to analyze those and understand exactly what went wrong. Of course, we can also see the prompt in some cases, but you report it to us. And that gives you a way to provide us feedback when the product doesn't work as you expected it to work. The report option is a bit more nuanced and for responses that shouldn't happen in any way, shape, or form, or for example, it gives you an inappropriate response or anything in that regard.
Are we asking our customers then as well to like, hey, please use this? Like if that, because it helps continuously to improve the product. So if that was a good answer, but should they do this constantly or like what's our recommendation? Like once they solved it, before they leave, or when they're just super excited about an answer, like what are some recommendations on how our customers should actually use these options to make the product, the prompting results in the end better?
We would appreciate if you do it on every single one. We do realize that generally speaking, that takes even a bit of time that maybe in some cases you don't have. We do recommend that you use the confirm and the off target as often as you see those behaviors happening. So if that was the response that it was exactly what you were looking for and provided to you without any kind of issues, confirm it. If it's off target, even by a little bit, tell us exactly why. The off targets one, as you can imagine, are the more important ones because we want to provide you with the best experience that we can. So understanding maybe for your organization, you were expecting a response in a different format or something on those lines, then we can take that feedback to our engineers and see what we can do to improve it for you.
Okay, thank you for explaining. And then there is also a pin that then when you pin something, because you will probably ask questions and stuff comes back to you and something that you want to look at later again, then you can just pin these answers? Or what is that?
Yes, in a way. There are two pinning, so to speak, options here that you can have within the immersive experience. And those are the fact that you can pin an individual prompt. This answer, for example, if you need this for future reference within your organization for whatever reason, then you would be able to pin this response alone without all of the context behind it. You also have the option to select all of the prompts within this entire session, so within this entire investigation, and pin everything and have it in your pin board. The pin board will be located at the right of the page, and you'll be able to access it at any point in time.
Okay, then I'm waiting for seeing it in action.
As I've mentioned, we did this KQL query, we ran it, and we got a bunch of responses. And now what I wanted to do is actually write a report investigation, so to speak. Generally speaking, giving me the assessment of the incident, any supporting evidence, and of course, the conclusion with a confidence level and a set of recommendations. So usually it will pick different skills in this particular space. And right now it chose Defender. It gave the assessment like a summary, what's involved, what are the entities, what's the supporting evidence, what's the confidence level, as well as what the recommendations are moving forward. And you will be able to see in just a second that I will select everything that was done here. As you can see, I'm selecting all of it. And now I'm asking it to pin it to my pin board. And this is exactly what I was referring to in the beginning. So now it was generating a summary. It will give me all of the summary of the incident. What is the investigation and report? I will also have all of the prompts that I did. So all of the questions that I asked and all the evidence that I asked for, you will be able to see under the pinned items. That gives you that possibility to come back to this particular incident whenever you need to. Also, another cool feature that you will have, this is a bit of an older one, but I wanted to reference it. If you want to collaborate with one of your colleagues, for example, on this session, and you're not exactly in the office most of the time so that you can go to that office, you can also share the entire session with that colleague. And that would give them access to see exactly what you did and letting him ask some questions in advance as well.
Cool. Oh, wow. Okay. So you can collaborate with your colleague on an incident in even Security Copilot. That's awesome. Another question. So I think I see Sentinel incident 29088 is the top. So you selected that somehow, and then all your questions are always in context of that specific incident. When you start your session, is it immediately connected to a product, or do you need to tell now, hey, go to Intune, go to, like, how is the experience of starting?
No, it is context aware. So it will always know, for example, if you start the entire session with tell me about incident 29088, for example, whatever questions you asked following that, it will revert to Sentinel incident 29088. If you are asking it about devices, for example, and the compliance of the devices, Intune is a product that you are using in the organization, then it will ask those details from Intune. If you are using, for example, Defender, you ask a question about any alerts or anything like that associated with that user, device, etc., then it will ping Defender. But it always runs back to that incident that you asked the first prompt about. That was the demo of Security Copilot. A lot of new excitement, a lot of new information here at Ignite. You will have more and more videos around what to do and how Security Copilot works and so on in the next few days and weeks, of course, as we get closer to GA.
Yes, yes. Before we close, Gabriel, is there any, what are some maybe best practices, like how to ask the questions, the more granular, the better, or just anything you know from your experience?
So a few things that I did see is that I would always address it, like in my prompts, whenever I play around with the product and I work on the product, is I basically address it as a, so to speak, a person. I address it with you, and I am asking, can you please give me this particular type of information? The please there is not necessary, obviously, but it makes a lot more sense than just telling it something like incident 26099.
Yeah.
In that particular part, it will understand the context, but the more information you give it, the better the response would be tailored to your particular question and to your particular train of thought as well, because that is also very, very important.
That's the thing, right? I mean, I guess if you just phrase your question in a way that you would ask a colleague, you wouldn't just say incident 560 and there's okay. Like,
exactly.
Of course, there is no human behind it, but still, it helps you to formulate your question better. and the product to be more precise with the answer.
In some particular cases, in more complicated incidents, you might be asking different products for the same information. That is very key, and it's very important that you highlight the product that you want to use. As a simple example, whenever you have an incident from Sentinel, but you want to check if there's something in Defender for those entities, then you would have to specify Defender so that it knows exactly where you are asking it to go. For the most part, it is very good practice to tell it where to go if you need something very specific, instead of asking it a simple question and then it maybe decides the correct one, but maybe it doesn't. So there's always that risk. It's better to actually input, can you provide me the details of this device, for example, from Intune or from Defender, if you need the details from Defender.
And then working with customers, is there anything that our early access preview customers run into, some common questions that you get, anything else that you would like to share with our audience here?
There are common asks in a way to maybe like the most common questions, or whenever we are doing a particular action within our organization. For example, if we're looking at the vulnerability, there are some generic questions that you ask, and those particular questions you would repeat them every single time for every single prompt that you do. So for every vulnerability. In that particular case, we have created something that is called the prompt book. And those prompt books would be able to just ask all the different 6, 7, 8 questions at the same time. They will do them in sequence, of course, but you just input the vulnerability you are looking for, and it will just ask the most commonly asked questions, the frequently asked questions around vulnerabilities that we have seen our customers ask. So those prompt books would take out you asking the questions and more actually giving you the possibility, in a way, to ask all of the questions at once. You get an answer in a few minutes, 2, 3, 5 minutes, depending on how serious the vulnerability is and how much details it has to pull out. And then you can continue in the same session to ask it more questions if you need to be more specific on certain items or anything like that.
So did I understand this correctly, that we wrote these prompt books, or are these also prompt books that a customer can create with their own questions?
So we have some by default on our standard created by us based on our customers' feedback. In a future scenario, we would also like to have customizable prompt books that customers can actually tailor to their particular needs, and not only at an organization level, but at a SOC analyst level.
Okay. So Gabriel, thank you so much. This for me, it's exciting. Like, even if I see that demo again or whatever, because I think this is so valuable and saves so much time, because those are the things that, you ask yourself, you try to figure things out, and now you have a buddy on your side that helps you be faster, which is super important in this space, to understand quick and be able to respond quick. So thank you so much for walking us through exciting news. And yes, I'm sure I will have you come back to the show, because there's more and more coming and more that we want to share. So again, Gabriel, thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoyed the episode, and see you next time.